Welcome to the SpoonFull Show. I'm Rachel, and this is a space for real conversations about chronic illness, hope, and learning to keep going even on the hardest days. Because strength doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it's simply taking life one spoon at a time. Welcome to the SpoonFull Show. It's wonderful to have you back here for another episode. For those of you that are longtime listeners, you might remember my co-host for today. Tina is not only my sister-in-law, but she's a fellow Spoonie and was my co-host for the first 4 seasons of the podcast. She's back this season to join me for a few episodes, and I'm really excited to have her back today. Welcome back, Tina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back here and connecting with our fellow Spoonies again.
Yeah. So for those that might be newer listeners or haven't been with us for a while, update us on who you are and what you've been up to the last 9 months.
Okay, well, like Rachel said, I'm Tina, her sister-in-law. She's married to my brother. Thankfully, she doesn't hold that against me because they met through
Some
me.
days I do.
Yeah.
Some days I do.
Some days I feel like my ears are probably burning,
Yep.
but gosh, what am I up to? So, as those long-term listeners may remember, I'm a stage 4 cancer survivor, and I was diagnosed in 2018, and I finally on Christmas Eve was able to get my port removed, so that was
Yay.
exciting. My most recent PET scan that I had a few weeks ago all came back clear, so which was hard. I was a little more nervous after having the port removed. I was like, "Oh, please, please still let it be gone," even after all those years, being clear from it was February of 2021 is when is has been I've been all cancer free since then. And it's still, I just felt like the way my luck would go.
Yeah.
It would be like get the port removed and then I get bad news. But I didn't. And you have to have faith and you have to have confidence
Yeah.
and just busy as, I took a step away because life just got really hectic. Things started slowing down with us, so I'm excited to be able to come back and co-host a couple episodes on this season.
And you also have fibromyalgia too.
Yes, I do. I have fibromyalgia. Yeah, I kind of forget that, and it's funny because I had a flare up after returning. I was out in Indiana helping my mom as she was recovering from surgery and some other things going on, and had a flare up. But it's been so long since I had a flare up that I didn't even recognize that it was going
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, we're so glad to have you back. And you are the perfect guest for today's episode because we're going to talk about the connection between pets and healing and exploring how animals can impact our mental health, our emotional well being, and daily life, especially when you're dealing with chronic illness.
Mhm.
There's something about pets that they just get us, So
Yeah.
this is what we're going to talk about today. And I guess we need to introduce our pets that we have here at home. So I
Yeah.
have my 2 basset hounds, Murray and Maisie, and they keep me busy. Obviously, they're a pair. And Murray, especially, is kind of my partner in crime, I guess. Maisie loves her daddy and all of that. But we'll talk a little bit about how he's helped me with my chronic illness journey. Tell us about your pets, especially your newbies.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I have Yogi. He's my 4.5-year-old sheepadoodle that I participate in a dog sport called Live Ball with. And then in October, end of October, we had 2 new additions to our family, which I must be crazy. Pancake and Waffles they just turned 9 months old. They are little Morkies, Maltese and Yorkie mixes. So I'm having a lot of fun with training and dog sports with them as well. So they definitely
Yeah.
keep me on my toes. I wasn't looking to add 2, but there were only 2 left when we went to look at them, and I couldn't make up my mind and was told that I could take both of them if I wanted. So who am I to question, the gift that was given to me?
Right. So for a lot of us, healing doesn't look like big breakthroughs or clear answers. Sometimes it can be just the quiet moments And I think pets really bring in those quiet moments. I think that, emotionally and mentally, they just give us so much comfort, and they're so non-judgmental about our feelings, and they just have that unconditional love that I think that somebody with chronic illness, you experience a lot of loneliness, and
Mhm.
I think that they bring such comfort without any judgment where you can just be, like, falling apart in front of them. Have you had a situation where, your pets have been there for you, especially going through, like, your cancer journey?
Yeah, yeah, especially, so my first doodle, my golden doodle, Brigo, was there for he was just something special. Like, he was always there for me. He knew, he was there for various surgeries, and it was just amazing how intuitive they are when
Yeah.
you're going through something. And even just as simple, there was a couple of abdominal surgeries that I had that, getting up and down for the first week or so was difficult, and he would be right there just supporting me, letting be for me to hold on to and to lean on and things, and so they and Yogi is the same way, just very intuitive and always there. It's really interesting to
Mhm.
how much they pick up and are there, not just physically, but emotionally.
Yeah. There's a study that says 84% of pet owners say that their pets positively impact their mental health, and I can definitely agree with that. There's sometimes, with chronic illness, you have the good days and you have bad days, but I am absolutely sure that my dog Murray knows when I'm having a bad day.
Mhm.
Usually we have our little routine, and at 7 o'clock, around 7 o'clock at night, we go back in the bedroom, watch girl shows, and relax from the day. And on those days where I'm not feeling well, or I'm just frustrated or upset, he lays really close to me, like closer than he normally does. He normally lays at my feet. And I know when I'm having a rough day, he'll actually come up and lay like right by my chest. And, petting him just brings a calm. And I honestly believe that they feel and they know what we're going through, and are there for us. It's really special because the times that I need the comfort the most, he reacts and is able to kinda let me know I'm not alone and is there for me.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I know, I remember a situation with my previous job that was super stressful, and I would wake up in a panic attack, but I would wake up before I'd get too ramped up, Yogi would be right there laying across my chest. Like, I would be woken up there's times that I would be woken up from him laying across me before I even realized that I was starting to feel a panic attack coming on.
Wow. That's he's a good dog.
He is.
But I also think that I don't know if you feel this too, but, I have my husband, Ed, you're obviously your brother, and there's times when you just don't wanna share everything. He
Mhm,
sees me struggling, he sees all that, I know he feels it too, but on those days where it's just emotionally frustrating, I don't necessarily want to burden him with that, and so, yes, I talk to my dogs, yes, I have a special voice for them. Yes, it's embarrassing, and I will not be doing it here, but where I can just be like, "Murray, mama's sad, I don't feel good, mama's tired," and all of these things, and it's just like I guess it would be called, like, silent support, where it's just
Mhm,
non-judgmental and it always seems like and again, I can't prove this, but it always seems like when I'm really struggling, he'll do something really funny, and
mhm.
just end up making me laugh.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that just that non-judgmental that you can say whatever you want and know that you're not gonna burden that for your loved ones, I think is also kinda nice.
Yeah. And sometimes you just don't want that. Like, you don't, at least for me, there's times that I need to let loose. I need to let my emotions out, but I don't feel like doing it around a person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I need that comfort too. Like, so once you let it out, they're just right there and, they're kind of they're a furry little therapist.
Yeah. And I don't know if you feel the same way or if you encounter this, but with men, husbands, a lot of times they just try and fix it.
Yep.
And sometimes you just need to get it out without really, you're not asking for advice. You're just like, I need to just get this off my chest. And, whereas sometimes it's better just to talk to Murray or Maisie and not really hear anything back of just being like,
Yeah.
they're not going to try and fix it. They're just going to be there for you, you know?
Yeah. It's funny. That's one thing that over the years that Dave has gotten, like, he's come to realize, and I think it's times that because he'll ask me, are you wanting my advice or feedback, or are you just needing to vent? So he actually has
Yeah.
gotten a little bit better, but still, there are times it's like you just don't feel like being around. You need that comfort, but you don't feel like being around a person. So that's
Yeah.
you know.
I I know you're familiar with this story, but I actually just lost a pet last August who was I feel like she was like my soulmate. And that was really, really devastating. But I have to tell you this story. So Ed and I went to a pet store to pick up a harness for one of our other dogs. And they were having like a dog event where you could adopt dogs. And of course, we weren't planning on that. I think we had 3 dogs at home. So we were like, we're good. But they had this 8-year-old dog that she just looked lonely. Nobody was looking at her. They were looking at all the puppies and the young ones, and she was kind of a mixed breed. And I just went over to her and looked at her and they said, "Oh, why don't you take her around the store? Just let her out of her kennel. That would help us out a lot." And so we got her on a leash and walked her around the store. And I looked in her eyes and I swear I just felt like she's just something I need right now. And at that point, I was really having a hard time mentally. And with Ed, if I say I really want to get a dog, even if we had 20 at home, he'd be like, "Ah, bring him in.
Mhm.
So it didn't take me long to say, I think I need her right now. And she was just like the heart and soul of me. And I know you said you had a connection with your Rigo, and it's something that you can't even explain. She wasn't a lap dog. She wasn't necessarily in my face, but there was just a connection there that I couldn't describe,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. 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 And they sometimes they pick you and
Yeah.
at the right time. And we lost my Ivy just a couple months before you had lost Angie too, so I know how it's hard. And
Mhm.
I mean, losing any pet is difficult, but when you have one that you have that big connection to, that's kind of been there for through all the really hard stuff, I think it hits even harder.
Yeah. And there is actually a scientific fact that 95% of pet owners actually rely on their pets for stress relief. Interacting with animals has actually been proven to lower cortisol and increase oxytocin. So anxiety relief, I know a lot of people will get pets as service dogs for mental health and just having that anxiety reduction, depression, things like that have been really helpful. And I know even some dogs help with like regulation of breathing and things like that, too.
Mhm. Yeah.
I want to pause here for just a second. Do you ever think that if you just push through, you'll feel better? Yeah, me too. It doesn't work. So I made something for that. It's called Looks Fine, Feels Terrible, and it's a t shirt. Available at spoonfulofstrength.etsy.com or click the link in the show notes. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, there's times I've noticed there's times if I'm feeling overwhelmed and or stressed that or like I'll be at a fly ball event and for some reason I'm just feeling anxious and I'll just be like, okay, I need one of my puppies in my arms. So I'll just go and grab usually Pancake for a while was my snuggler and liked to be carried around, but as she's gotten older, she's getting to be a little more independent. So
Yeah.
she doesn't like it as much as I do when I scoop her up and carry her around. But
Yeah.
I mean, it calms your nervous system down, definitely lowers that cortisol, just like, okay, I need to carry one of my dogs around because I'm starting to feel anxious. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't want this to sound dramatic, but I feel like sometimes with the ups and downs of chronic illness that pets can give you like a purpose of getting out of bed and things because yeah, I wake up in the morning and I'm just like I just don't want to get out of bed, but yet I've got these two weasels in my bed that need to go out, they need to eat and things like that. And so sometimes I feel like it helps me with my movement a little bit more. It helps me get out of bed. And especially as mobility is getting more of an issue with me, that just taking the time to get them outside and get their breakfast and all of that gives me a sense of purpose of, I need to take care of these animals too.
yeah, yeah, I think I definitely, there's mornings that I wish I could sleep in just a little bit longer, but it hits
Yeah.
6 o'clock and they're ready to go, and
Yeah.
but it definitely, I think, helps with keeping you more active and like you said, giving you a reason to get up in the morning
Yeah.
versus, having a pet in your life, you can't lay around on the couch and just wallow when they need you. They're relying on you. Do you think
Yeah.
that also it just, when that relying on you part of it, that also may help with purpose. I feel like helps you feel more have more purpose in your life because you feel like when you live with a chronic illness, you rely a lot on other people.
Yeah.
And so you may not feel as helpful or as able to do as much for your family and your friends as you used to. But
Right.
having, your little furry friends that you are capable of taking care of, I think still helps give you that feeling of purpose as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point because it does gives us some responsibility of taking care of somebody and feeling like, especially I think with women, we like to take care of people. And when a lot of that is stripped from you of not having the energy or the mobility to do the things for other people that you want to do, having a pet and being responsible for everything, then I feel like my life would be so much more boring if I didn't have my dogs, and it does get me out of the chair and things like that. So I definitely feel like that's that's a big thing that you just brought up because yeah, I like taking care of things as most people do, you know.
Yeah, yeah. You may hear a little growling in the background. I don't know if it's loud enough for my
Oh my
microphone to
gosh.
pick up, but Yogi's up, and so the girls all are trying to chase him as he's wandering around. So
Oh my gosh.
they're growling at him, trying to get him to play.
It's so funny because just a minute ago, Maisie was outside, and so Jaren just brought her in, and she was at the door sniffing, and he texted me, "Do you want me to let her in?" And I'm like, "No," because then they'll be fighting, and so now
Yeah.
Murray's sniffing at the door and because he
Aw.
can smell her she's on the other side, so he's gonna entertain Maisie while Murray is actually it's so funny, he's my podcast buddy too, so when it's time to record, the episodes, I'll say, "Murray, you wanna go podcast?" And he runs with me and he waits for me to get things set up and he lays beside me while we're podcasting. And then he always knows when I'm saying goodbye to my guest. I'll say, I'll see you later. He jumps up and he's like, okay, we're done. we're done podcasting, and so he's been my little podcast buddy too. But that's funny. Our dogs are trying to make an appearance on the show. So
Yep,
um,
they're over there playing. Yogi's actually literally sitting here. He's not quite tall enough for it to the camera to. He's got his head resting on my lap right now, wondering what I'm doing.
that's so cute. Well, I know we can talk endlessly about all the wonderful things that pets bring to our lives, but there is a hard part with owning pets, and I know there's some times when I'm just really struggling and not feeling well, and the dogs are fighting and the dogs are wanting to go out every 5 minutes, and so I know that having a pet also can bring some stress, but I think it's one of those things that the good outweighs the bad. But
Yeah.
there is definitely some stressful moments having pets. And how do you deal with stress when you just like, I need 5 minutes to myself and the dogs are fighting, or needing this, needing that?
No. I I have a lot of different like enrichment type thing. Chew toys, like horns. They love their water buffalo horns. Or I had picked up these like little lick mat things that go right on their crate. So if I need some time and they're just being too much,
Mhm.
I'll give them some, with two
Yeah.
puppies happens fairly often, although they're actually really good puppies in general, but I'll give them something special that they don't
Mm,
normally get on a regular basis to keep them occupied while I lay down and take a nap or do whatever I need to do. I mean, this is a financial aspect of it too, but, there's a lot of places that there's a lot of doggy daycare facilities out
mm,
there as well, so if you
yeah,
have a really high energy dog and it's starting to become difficult
yeah,
to manage and you're like, I just wish I had a day or 2 days a week that I'm not constantly trying to wear them out to doggy daycare or dog walkers. There's what's it
yeah,
called? Rover? I think it's called Rover
yeah,
that you can hire
yeah,
somebody to come in and walk. So there's options, but again, that increases your financial burden where a lot of people already are struggling in that aspect if you're living with a
yeah,
chronic illness. So
yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point, because it's already so financially difficult when you have a chronic illness. So adding in the shots and the doctor's
mhm,
appointments, and when something goes wrong and all of that, it's really hard to deal with the financial part on top of everything else. But
yeah,
if you have the ability to take care of them, it's definitely something that has brought joy to, I know, my life and yours as well. And then it's hard to bring this up, but we both have talked about it as far as losing the pet. And we've lost a few pets since Ed and I have been married. And but Angie was my hardest. She was my hardest. And she was doing great. She was 15 years old, really not acting up at all, and went downhill within a week, and
mm,
to where she couldn't even walk. And so it was, I think, harder that it was so fast.
mhm.
I think of all of the memories that I have of Angie and how much joy she brought to my life, but it was devastating when she left. So it's one of those things that you have to make a decision of,
Yeah.
is 10 to 12 years of pure joy, but you still have that kind of cloud, I guess, hanging over.
Yeah, you're gonna say goodbye. Ivy was really difficult for me as well when I lost her. My heart wasn't getting over it for the longest time. It's a much shorter lifespan, but the joy that you receive, but also what you're capable of giving to them in their
Mhm.
life is
Yeah.
just really important.
Yeah.
I For me, what they give me, what they add to my life is, yeah, I would rather have the memories and the sadness than to not ever have them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. My goodness. I guess I'm keeping you, merman. He's laying here beside me. So,
I figured one
well,
of
I
them was
think,
gonna join us.
oh my gosh. Which
Yeah,
one is that?
that's Pancake. You can tell because her
Hi,
ears are down.
Pancake.
She's the one that likes to hop up on my lap all the time. Usually, as soon as if there's a lap to be sat on, she finds it. So
Oh my
mm,
gosh. That's funny.
here's a hard one,
Okay.
a hard topic with pets, and this was something I know that it was one thing that there was one thing that I used to say a lot when I was going through my cancer treatments, and that was I have to beat it because I have 3 dogs. I had Bella Rigo and Ivy at the time. I said, I have 3 dogs and I don't trust anybody other than myself to take care of them. So I have to hang around.
Mm,
And
yeah. Back to kind of that purpose of, you know, being there for them.
yeah, yeah, but it is also a hard thing to think about because you do have to, depending on the chronic illness that you're living with and things, if it is a potential, what happens when you're either no longer there or you're no longer capable of
Yeah.
being able to take care of, and that's a hard thing to think about, but it's also important thing to think about is, making sure that your pets will be taken care of no matter what.
Yeah. Whether that be a spouse or having to unfortunately think about rehoming to, a friend or a neighbor or something
Yeah.
like that. I mean, that's a hard decision to make of can I continue to take care of while dealing with the chronic illness? I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, you don't want their life to suffer because you can't take care of them. And yeah, that's really, really difficult. And
Yeah.
I
It's
know,
hard because they
yeah.
also become attached to you too. So,
Hmm.
it's hard on both sides you got to come up with that plan, your contingency plan, so to speak.
I'm glad that we got a chance to talk about pets because I truly believe that, healing can come in completely different ways. And sometimes it shows up with 4 legs, a wagging tail, or just that quiet presence when we're resting in our feels and kind of, I guess, reminds us that we're not alone. And so if you have a pet and you probably already know that they're just so much more than animals, they're comforting, their connection. And on some days it could be the reason that we keep going.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
you
Absolutely.
know, yeah, definitely. Well, it's like riding a bike, bringing
Yeah.
having you come back. It's like no time is no time is missed at all. So,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be back quite a few times this season. So I can't thank you enough for coming in and
Yeah.
doing this. And this was the perfect episode because you and I are a lot alike in that our pets are our babies and they're our
Oh,
family
yep.
and they truly have helped us throughout hard times. So there wouldn't be anybody else that would do this episode without me than you. So thank you for coming on.
Yes. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be back for a few episodes this season. So
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. We
good.
got more topics we got to talk about. So I want to thank Tina for joining me today. It's good to have her back. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way too. I love this episode because I feel like for many of us, pets just become a part of our healing, not because they fix everything, but they remind us that we're not alone. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your story, what role your pet has played in your life and your healing journey. And as always, thank you for saving spoons to be with me today. Until next time, take care.